Hello, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you're at. So welcome to Bitovi, Solving Advent of Code. So here at Bitovi, we are experts in front-end development, Angular, React, Node.js, DevOps, project management, UX, and more. So if you need application development help, reach out for a free consultation by emailing us at contact@bitovi.com or visiting our website at bitovi.com. You can also check us out on Discord. See the links in the chat. So, with me, I am joined by none other than the man himself, Dan Dick. Can you give a wave, Dan?
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Dan. And Wade. You might remember Wade from such advent of code problem solving as day 3 and day 1. Hey, Wade, how are things going?
Hello. Pretty good.
So, um, last Thursday, I've already gave Wade some questions, asked him about his history, where he comes from, what types of programming languages he likes. So if you want, check that video after this one. But today the focus is on Dan. So can you tell me a bit about yourself, Dan?
Sure. Yeah, in terms of programming, which I'm sure this is mostly what the subject is about. I've been programming for over 20 years, so quite a long time in the business. Been through various different companies of various different programming languages and so on. And I've seen everything from Unix to Mac to Windows. Also done mobile development and web development, and pretty full range there.
Nice. That is cool. So in that 20 years, have you ever done something like Advent of Code?
I usually try to avoid them. I have done them, but I think I usually try to take challenges and make them more complicated for myself than they need to be, just because it becomes more of a learning experience in terms of like, what can I really do to fancy this up? But you've pushed me to do Advent of Code for the last 3 or 4 years now, and I seem to avoid it every time, and so somehow I've been pulled into this one. So I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. Well, as we get into the problem, if you want to switch it up and have stuff like, oh, I don't know, like say we can't use for loops or we can't use the reduce or something like that. If you want to mix it up, let us know. And same in the chat. If you want to add anything special for us, no maps allowed. Uh,
Oh,
yeah, we'll weigh it, see if it's even possible, and then maybe try and execute on it. So yeah, next question. So as we're going through this, today we'll be solving this problem in TypeScript, one of the best programming languages ever created, second to JavaScript, in my opinion. But in your history, Dan, with that type of broad understanding, do you have a favorite programming language?
I'd say my go-to is usually a C#, but just because I've used it for so long. But I've used C++, Java, and just kind of left those all behind a long time ago, and C# kind of became the standard for me. But lately it's been, well, actually probably the last 6 years, it's been a lot of TypeScript, and the similarities to it are quite nice, and there's definitely lots of things about TypeScript that I like digging into and taking advantage of. And like things like even the spread operator are just like that sort of thing becomes a breeze, and and you just don't see those things in C# as much. So
Yeah, 100%. Um, so I know Wade and I have headphones on, and it doesn't appear you do. And one of the things I'm always curious is, do you listen to music when programming?
I don't. I find that music can be pretty distracting, but every now and then, um, if I really try to focus in on something, I'll I'll give it a shot. Sometimes it works, and but for the most part, I don't listen to music. And if it is, it's most likely classical or something that's just kind of in the background and just a kind of a nice sound. And yeah, anything else would be too distracting for me.
Nice. Yeah. I'm very much in the same boat. Sometimes looking with how many JavaScript frameworks are coming out every day, I feel like I'm classical, in that same way the music is. So last question, and then we'll dive into the problem. We'll overview the problem, just kind of talk about it, what we're thinking about, all of that. But before then, last question is, what is your favorite code editor, and why is it VS Code?
First question answered. Yeah, VS Code is great. I remember when they first introduced it, it was almost 7 years ago, maybe a long time ago. And I was kind of going around to my group of colleagues at the time and just saying, like, you guys got to check this out. And of course, it was based off of Atom, which I'd used before. Um, and so, yeah, I've just kind of been playing around with it at that point and then just kind of keeping going with it. But it just, like, from a day-to-day IDE, it's just so easy. Like, to me, it's just a clean interface. It doesn't feel very complicated. Like, I do use Visual Studio itself, like, a lot as well. And I just find that the switch between the two is very different for me, so it's just, and especially I think if you're in TypeScript and JavaScript development, Visual Studio is very much built around that. And the more you see things like different extensions that are coming out for it, it just makes it that much better. So, like, using Flutter as an example, like when that first came out and they just had everything ready, like that, a VS Code extension to just say, here, just install this, you get all the language services, you get everything you need, and then you just run with it. And that was, to me, that's amazing.
Nice. Yeah. I too like VS Code, like probably top two, three editors out there. It The extensions just blow my mind. Like, there's just such a huge multitude, some of which we'll probably be using today. So with that, let's hop over here to screen capture, and let me move our faces so that they're visible on Twitch. Okay, so day 4 camp cleanup. I'm not going to read the whole thing. If anybody wants to read it, check out day 4. But it looks like we're getting a list of 2 ranges. So like 2 to 4, 6 to 8. And it talks about the elves are being assigned sections. Why are they? Section assignments for, why are they being assigned sections? Cleanup. Unload. Cleared. There we go. Elves are being assigned sections to be cleaned, cleared. And it looks like this. So we got some pairs of numbers. And then as we hop down, we got the question over here. And how many assignment pairs does one range fully contain the other? So we have something like this, and we need to find out when something like, is it this one? Like this happens, where the min of one and the max of one are within the range of another. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, Dan? Make sense, Wade?
Yep.
Roughly. Okay. So, your editor is a size small. Okay. Let me zoom in. Is that better? Okay. Okay, I'm going to move this over a little bit. Just so we have some space.
Behind the screen are being revealed.
Yeah, that's how the magic gets made. Okay, So one of the things I did is if you see these kind of problems up here, um, I already took the liberty of saying like, you know what, I love arrays. And the only thing better than an array is an array that contains arrays. I think that's like, maybe we could go one more layer and get like an array of arrays of arrays. Um, but we might need to wait on that. What do you guys think of the data structure? Does that kind of make sense? Would you want to see it in a different way?
I think it
Please,
makes sense.
makes sense. Okay. So now the fun part. So I'm going to go over to my puzzle input. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to go to the raw. So this is just a text file. Do you guys like regular expressions?
Love them.
Yeah,
Yep.
love them. Okay, so if one of you would like to use regular expressions to convert this into the format, no?
No.
Okay, okay. So, based on previous, when I open up this pane, I don't think you guys can see it.
We cannot.
We cannot. So I'm just going to verbalize it, and then hopefully this works out correctly. Are you guys familiar with captures in regular expressions? How a capture works? So it's the parenthesis, and then you get a variable out of it. So
I can never remember what how you reference the capture groups in Visual Studio Code, whether it's like slash number or $ number. I know it's one of those.
yes. Okay.
Are you going to tell
So
me which one it is?
it is a $ number.
Okay.
So what I did is I used D for digit, so escape digit, and then I'm looking for one or more digit, just letting it be greedy so it gets the biggest number possible. And then I'm also matching on the minus because I don't care about it. And then just doing the same thing over. So essentially what I do is I use those capture groups so that those contain the number. So per line, I should have four numbers. Because there's a range, the left and the right. The left has a min and a max, the right has a min and max. So we have four numbers total. So then what I do is I'm going to do open array, and then I'm just going to reference the first number, comma, second number, close array, comma, open array. What I can do is I can post this in the chat, something like this. Okay, so here, let me try again.
To paste in OBS, you have to use the context menu.
Ooh.
Okay, nice.
So something like that. So I'm just going to let it run. Oh, and I forgot a comma.
Yep. Also, do you actually want the closing? Do you want every line to have two brackets? Oh, I guess you do. Of course you do. Never mind. Ignore me.
Okay. So I'll go then put this in the data file. So I have this data file with input. For an advent of code purist, they might argue that this is cheating.
Well, you basically use regular expressions, so I feel like that's as holistic as you can be of a way to cheat. You basically did what you would have had to write code for,
just
to get it manually. So
yeah,
or let Visual
but
Studio Code do it for you.
yeah, this way it's not repeatable. So there's pros and cons.
It's true. You'll have to do this every time, but
Okay. So we have this list, and within that list, there's these groups. And we want to find when one is contained by another. So what type of stuff is going through your head when you're looking at this, Dan?
Maybe lots of things. I'm not too sure. Just in terms of the array, like I guess if we're going to be doing some sort of comparison, it's only going to be the two. So for example, we're only going to compare 4 and 5, lines 4 and 5. But I'm wondering, do we need to also compare against the other arrays in any way? Or is it just only going to be one shift compared to the other?
I think that is a good question. So right now,
it looks like it's just comparing each pair to, like, contain each pair individually. Because we want to know how many pairs have overlapping within them.
Right.
yeah, does one range fully contain the other? So
Wait, fully?
fully. So if you check out here, I think it's looking at something like this. So like, here, let me
Oh, nice.
kinda,
That's actually means we have to do less work.
I think,
We only have to check one of the 2 digits.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's not true because the second, you don't know which one could contain the other one, so we still have to check them all. But
yeah,
because the first range could contain the second, or the second could contain the first, unless we wanted to like sort them by which one has the smallest starting number first.
yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if, like, do we have to do, is there like a double comparison? So we compare the top one to the bottom one, and then we have to flip it and compare the bottom one to the top one. So like the top one, we could say it doesn't, the top one doesn't include all of them in the bottom one, but then reverse it and it does.
Yes, I think that is correct.
A really complicated but maybe kind of cool way to do it would be to merge the 2 together. So merge the 2-4 array and the 6-8 array together. Spread them, add it to a min and a max, figure out what the largest ones are, and figure out whether that matches one of the pairs.
Okay. So
that's certainly not the most straightforward way to do it, but
if you were to imagine me being 5 years old.
Okay, so like
here, how about you do a little bit of code?
Okay, so
show us like, with like.
It'll be something like. Okay, I'm not even going to put it in here because this is not a great example. I'm going to do this function bad example. If we had a pair, this would be. Oops. I'll determine whether it contains itself or not. So it'd be something like. Let's see here. Here. Oops. And
so while you're doing that, I'm just going to.
Okay, so do something like that. That's not the most. It's a fairly succinct.
Okay.
Ooh, we have a chat question. So merging the 2 to 4 and 6 to 8. So it wouldn't necessarily matter that the in-between numbers aren't there because we only care about the outside part. So like the maximum of 2, 4, 6, and 8 would be 8, and the min would be 2. And because 2, 8 isn't either of those pairs, then we know that neither of them, that group, neither of those ranges in that group contain the other one. That's true, right? As I was explaining that, I'm second guessing myself, but that is accurate, right?
I think so.
Oh, you wanted. But why is this?
It is saying that the argument is.
Oh, okay, fine. I'll just. I tried to get too fancy with my types. So I'll type for this. Well, it should know it's the right type, right?
I think. I don't know. I'll just.
Yeah, just make it there we go. That's good.
Okay, so then let's do.
Do you have to? Does this have to be an exported function that you're running to get it to show in the terminal? The way you have main set up?
No, because I just put a console log. So and we don't even have to run it with the magic of Coca.
Oh, that's true. Forgot I just have to wait. So is that correct? That's what we want, right? False is what we want.
False. Yes.
Okay, so which ones are supposed to be?
If we do 0, 1, 2, 3,
so
3 and 4 should be true. Ooh, but 3 is false.
Uh-oh.
Oof. Because the
why is it? But the min should be, for 3, the min should be 2 and the max should be 8. Right? Yeah, let's make sure my stuff is correct here. And let's make this even a little bit more. Oh, I guess we don't need that because you got your fancy stuff. Never mind. So, wait, but we're not going to see that in. Oh, we are. So yeah, 2.8. That's what. This includes like a strict.
Okay, so includes determines whether an array includes a certain element.
So that probably doesn't match. Those aren't equivalent. Like 2 separate arrays with the same values are not equivalent.
Ooh. Yeah, I think so. If we were to instead of includes just do return pair, let's do pair 0, 0 equals pair. This is going to be tough for me. Do we want, yeah, pair 1, 0?
Wait, how about this? I'm not sure what you're doing, but what about return?
Ooh. Yes. Okay. So I think we can remove these.
You said no maps.
Can you do it in a for each?
We could do it in a reduce. Well, no. Yeah, I guess we could technically, but well, see if this works first. Then we can unmap it if we want to.
Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is
that already looks good. It says true. That's what we want. Oh, you're gonna do all of them at once? Nice.
Is that?
We were just mapping bad example.
Right.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So we get false, false, 3 falses, 2 trues, and then a false.
Which is what we want, right?
Yes. Well, close. We want to be able to. We all need to sum. So.
Well, yeah. But I mean the bad example actually works. Okay. I feel like I named it too harshly to begin with. I actually don't dislike this solution. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. So What are your thoughts on it, Dan?
No, actually, I was questioning whether or not it was going to pick it up properly, because I was thinking there's nothing in between the arrays, so I was thinking, like, if we had 2 and 6, it would be 2, 3, 4, or 5, 6 in there. But this actually works pretty good. Not crazy about comparing strings that way.
Yeah, that's not ideal. That wasn't part of my initial idea, but
yeah. Did AJ add that?
no, I did.
No.
It's a short way of keeping it like to one line, but
no, it works pretty well. Admittedly, I was trying to follow along, but I was also in the back of my head trying to think of the solution as well. No, it's good, because it does return 3 falses, 2 trues, and that's exactly the order which it's on the Advent of Code page. So
yeah, so
do we want to try for a more elegant solution, or do we
Well,
want to go with this?
I want to see if it works.
Okay, we can meet it up afterwards.
Okay, now how come it's...
Now you just have to sum up the trues.
Yeah, sum up the trues.
If you multiply 1 times false, it's going to be 0, right? Or what's, I can't remember how that works, like true plus true.
Here.
Good old JavaScript math.
Oh man, yeah, there we go. Okay,
Yeah, true plus true is 2. Guess you could literally just add them together, add the booleans together, you'll get a number. You want to reduce it.
Okay. There we go. Okay. There we go. We're going to put that function there.
I'm trying so hard to follow what you're doing, but it looked like you just undid everything you did, and now
Yes.
it's doing everything. Can you explain what you're doing?
Yes, I'm trying to get it.
Okay.
Trying to get it. Oh. Okay, so now instead of doing it, we can use input dot map bad example. Let's get input imported, and now can I just do a reduce accumulator the item, and then return accumulator plus item.
Yeah, TypeScript's not going to like that, but it does work.
Okay.
What is its complaint? I'm curious. Operator cannot be applied to Boolean data. Not just as JavaScript, it begs to differ with you.
Yeah. Oh, I don't need to worry about the accumulator. I'll just do the item.
I think it'll still complain about a Boolean plus an int or a number. Yeah. Can't add a bool and a number. Oh, nice.
Yeah. Shut up, TypeScript.
So what are you trying to do here with this? Take the output of the bad example and then you're reducing it to just the 2?
So yeah, going through, because the question has us go figure out how many of the pairs does one range fully contain the other. So if we were to recall this to contains, so we go through the list, seeing if an item is contained in, one is contained in another. So we have a map of, so really what we could do is, if we, instead of using a map, use a filter. And then instead of doing
you still have, or length, you just do that length, I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you want that to console log, or do you want to return it, and then you can see the result on line 45.
Yes. I want to do both. And yeah, I guess I should put this into an array or a variable, but I'm just going to keep it verbose. So now, instead, I'll go to the terminal, npm run exec 413.
Oh, yeah, you left the console logs in there. That's why we're seeing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I can drop those, run it again. Should just, yeah, now we get to see. So, confidence level 0 to 100, Dan. What are your feelings on this?
What is 413?
That is the number of pairs where one pair contains the other pair.
Okay.
And there were 500 pairs.
Ooh, does that change? Oof. 413 seems like a really high number to me. Does it seem like a high
It's
number
less than
to you?
half.
It does seem high, but was that just randomly generated data, or did that data come from?
Yeah, it was random.
Yeah. So I can put it into the puzzle. 413. I just like to get people's how confident they are that this is the
I feel
right
pretty
answer.
confident.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if Wade says it, yeah, that's right. We got our first gold star for the day. Normally people would just call it quits right here and there, but you know, on this stream, yeah, 90% to 10%. On this stream, we like to do things to the nth degree. So there is a part 2 of the problem. So yeah, right off the bat, the elves would like to know the number of pairs that overlap at all. So in the above example, have first 2 pairs don't overlap, while the remaining pairs do overlap. So now, instead of finding out if one is entirely contained, we need to figure out if there's an overlap.
So I can, since I kind of derailed us into my crazy idea for the first one, I can be quiet on this one.
Okay.
Unless we want them to not be. So let Dan think about it.
Okay. So as we're going through, I'm looking back up. So the first 2 don't overlap at all, and the last 4 do overlap. So have some amount of overlap. So last time we were looking for contains, whereas this time we're just looking for that if a number exists in both. So that, to me, I'm thinking of like the 4 kind of comparisons. So like if here, I'll hop into code.
Yeah, sadly, my solution doesn't really lend a super easy way to, like, that information is not available.
Yeah. So when we're looking at this one, so like 7 is in both. But we'd need to do a comparison. So like the first comparison would be like 5. Is it greater than 7, or is 5 less than 9? So that's the first part, but then we'd also have to like expand each of these. So like if if 5 is less than 7, or 7 is greater than equal to 7. So here,
It's interesting that you are very much seem to be going for the what is like the meaning behind it, like do these overlap sort of thing, and a way to evaluate that. Whereas my mind goes to how can I recognize like the pattern of how this will work? Like, is it again with like the knowing the largest and the smallest? Like, if one of those is the first value in one of them, and one of them is the second value in the other, then you know there's overlap. As long as neither of them has both of those in one. Does that make sense?
I think so.
You're
So
just
like,
doing immediate filtering, just getting rid of that and not even bothering. Is that the idea?
yeah, so like 2, 6, 4, 8. The min is 2, the max is 8. Like, as long as one of them isn't 2, 8, does that mean there's overlap? I guess it doesn't necessarily. Because like it could be 2, 5, and 7, 8, and there's no overlap there. Um,
Yeah, I think what I'm thinking
so using
is
comparison probably makes more sense.
if we have something that looks like A, B, and then C, D.
This looks a lot like a
To,
matrix.
yes, to be able to have 4 comparisons. So you want A greater than equal to C, or A less than equal to D. So that's the first one. So that's making sure that like A is within these two.
Yeah, and then the opposite would be
So B would be less than equal to D, or B greater than equal to C. So I'm going to put a or here. And then we do it again, but this time it's with C being less than equal to, no, greater than equal to A,
this
or
reminds me a lot of like how you go through and see if 2 rectangles are overlapping. Which I guess it's the same thing as checking with 2 points. Well, it's not the exact same thing, but it kind of is.
yeah, so we want greater than, less than, equal to, or D.
Wait, C is always going to be less than D, right? So that's not necessary to check.
Oh,
Same with
B. There we go.
That makes more sense. Okay.
Yeah, good catch.
So that's all the conditions you have to, or do you have to check D too?
Yeah,
Yes, you do.
because if D is within the range of A,
Yeah,
and
less
B,
than A, or wait, greater than or equal to A and less than or equal to B?
wait, no, this can't be. C greater than equal to A, D. Okay,
I think
so
it's backwards because you compared B to D before you compared B to C. That's why it's not consistent across the 4.
okay. You know what? I'm going to consistentize that.
There you go.
A, B, B, C, C, D, D. Yeah, that reads a little bit better. Okay, that was a mouthful. Okay. So now, if we hop back here, oh, I'm going to have to close my comment. Does this make sense? It's a bit.
Well, I was just gonna say, walk us through what you expect the outcome to be.
Okay, so while I do that, I'm going to we are going to hop over to day 2, part 2 here. Then I'm just going to change the function name. Okay, so what I'm thinking with this condition is we'd be able to apply this to each thing so that we're checking that like A is within this range, or, and I think this has to be an and now that I'm going through it. I'm pretty sure there's some type of De Morgan's law out there, because what we want is for A to be within C and D, or B within C and D, or C within A and B, or D within A and B. So in one of those scenarios, and maybe there's a way where I only need the first half. I don't think so. Because I think if something is totally included, it'll need these conditions to see.
Do you want some ASCII art illustrating two things? We'll see how well these go in here. This is the top.
Okay.
There we go. There's basically what we're looking for, excluding the option where one's self-contained, right?
Yeah. That is some fast ASCII art. Wow. Color me impressed. Yeah, that looks to be what we want. Okay. So now we gotta translate this part. So what I'm going to do is we're going to keep the contains method, but this time I want it as, I want it as a pair. I think I just am going to go like that. Then oh,
You need help writing type. Oh, wow. How did you just do
yeah.
that?
I think it's Option click on a Mac, and you can get multiple cursors. My keyboard doesn't have the. Yeah, there we go.
You can
Option
just place them wherever you want?
Wherever you want.
Oh, I didn't know about that. I only knew about like the holding the middle mouse down and like select for multiple lines.
Yeah, it's.
Oh, option left click. Wait.
Yeah. Shout out to Jared Zwain at Moody's for teaching me the option click for multiple cursors.
Oh my gosh, that's terrifying.
It was a huge help.
Just look at the damage you could do. Yeah, that's actually really cool. I did not know that was a thing.
Yeah, somebody mentioned in chat. Yeah, of course I said your name correctly. You made me say it on stream. Okay, so I think that's it. Somebody commented in chat. I think I only needed to have the two max ranges contained in the ranges, but I don't know if that was luck or how it should be. Interesting. Teens. Yeah, I think we need.
Oh. Uh,
You know, I
wait a
think
minute.
there's something we can do here with this. So
What's
let
this
me
going
go.
to be?
So
What,
if I
why are
go,
you red there?
Oops. Oh, sorry. My undoes you.
there is something to within
Isn't V
object.
just a 2D array? Yeah.
Yeah,
Shouldn't you be able to flatten it
Yeah.
like this?
Yeah, just V. Can you just do V0, V1?
Oh, for each one of them?
Yeah.
isn't there?
No. So I think
Weird.
you want V0 comma V1. Don't you?
It's all four. Yeah, that's going to be issue too, because these are both arrays
Yeah.
of 2 items. So I think you'd be able to spread these, right? You should be able
Oh,
to.
gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
Could you just destructure in your function and save us this effort, please?
Yeah. Destructure the V.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I don't have to pass this in at all, and I can save this. Oops.
You don't need types.
No, just gives you an error.
Need one more.
So much work around work.
You got to
But
bracket
it's a 2D array. It's a 2D. Oh, yeah, it's a 2D array. So, oh, I can just split it now. Cool. But I still have to add the function in.
Do you, I don't think you have to.
Weird.
Example.filter v. It's going to be v0.
Oh, I'm just going to do it that way.
And yeah, closing.
And void. Oh.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay, so, oof. Oh yeah, and let me. Oh, I'll let you finish typing.
Oh. You can. Oh. Never mind. I'll let you handle it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's an intersect function in JavaScript.
Ooh, yeah. I was looking for intersect yesterday with like sets to do like unions, intersections, all those, and it doesn't have those operations. And
I mean, you can do like filter and include, but you'd have to have you can't just have the range on there.
yeah.
All right. Yeah, I guess Lodash, it doesn't surprise me that Lodash does.
Okay. Filter for.
So is the result we're looking for still just the total number of ones that have that overlap?
Yeah. Yeah, so I was just wondering if we could do. There's like, what is it called?
Is it getting the expected result?
So on an array, you should be able to flatten. So if I did
Oh yeah, there's a array dot flatten I think now, isn't there?
Yeah. Oh, it is it because like this doesn't know what type V is? No, it does.
Yeah, array dot flat.
Okay. You know what? I'll come back.
It's on array. You have to. It's array dot flat, not v dot flat.
Yeah.
When you pass in the thing.
Yeah.
So if you want to put it back to your A, B, C, D, then you can.
And then it would just be V dot flat.
No, array dot flat.
Array dot flat.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, tomato.
I mean, it's going now.
I mean, we could do like double V.
Oh, there's an array dot group. It's experimental though. Ooh, that's actually really cool.
Okay.
JavaScript's becoming more like Ruby.
How are your feelings on that, Dan? Do you think JavaScript's becoming more like Ruby? Is that for the better?
I mean,
out of all the languages I've used, I've never used a Ruby.
Oh, you're missing out. It's a beautiful language.
Okay. So yeah, this 4 looks good. Let's hop back to main. Change this to 2. Hop back here. 4 looks right. So if I change this to input, and then I think that is it. Yeah, I'll keep that there. So now in main, cannot find, of course. Okay, so if we hop back here, now it should be. Let's go to the terminal, run it. 806, higher than the first one. So right off the bat.
That's good. It's a good sign.
That's good. Yeah. Oh, Lodash fans in the chat.
At least one.
I guess Lodash fan in the chat. I like Lodash. It's good.
I haven't used Lodash in a while, but I do remember it being cool.
806. I don't know. Each one of those digits are even. I don't know. What are your guys?
They would be.
But all 3. What are the chances that all 3 would be even?
Wait, what's the third?
Wait, what?
You said all 3 would be even? What's the third thing that's even?
Oh, 806.
Oh, all 3 numbers in it. Okay.
Yeah. All underscore backbone JS.
Yeah, I remember underscore. Underscore was, yeah, Lodash came from underscore, I think.
I'm going to submit it. That is right.
Woohoo!
2 gold stars. Completed day 4. That is pretty cool. So one of the things I was going to do is see if I could do like I was going to try and like, oh, what happens if instead of doing the destructure, we use a flat and then just pass the flat in and then have, but I don't know. This kind of keeps the groups. I don't know. Cool. Yeah. So able to solve it. We could do unit tests. I saw other people doing unit tests, but we know it works.
Who does unit tests?
Yeah, submit. Well, I mean, is it a unit test if it's more like just a test, right? Like, I could. The guest, good question, with us is Dan Dick, currently at FCC. I worked with him for many years. The whole code is one unit. Yeah. Interesting take on a unit test. Yeah. I Interesting. Cool. Um, I think if we wanted to test it, it would be cool to go through each of the conditions, test each condition separately. But I feel like to do that, what I would do,
I mean, it is
and
basically just one function, right?
yeah, it would be.
Or it could be. It doesn't need to be a function in a function.
If I go, oh, where is it? How come it's not here? Do I have to be on this screen to? Might have to make my editor a bit bigger. There we go. If I wanted to touch it or test it, I would turn on GitHub Copilot and then start doing it should contain when A is in C and D. Yeah, sure. Expect, come on, I need something contain to be truthy. There we go. Contains.
Oh, actually, that's kind of what you want it to be, right? Wait, how does it know? Did you write that or did it write that?
It wrote it.
How does it know that it wants you to, or why does it think it wants you to use contains? I guess it just guessed.
Yep. Even though it's not.
It guessed wrong. I mean, it didn't.
Okay, so I'll put that there. Back here at the import. Okay, so now we're cooking with steam. Beans.
Oh, you've got two function contains. Okay.
It should contain B when C is in. Yeah, that sounds right. Okay.
But
Sure.
the contains you're testing isn't the one you're using. Unless you deleted the other one.
I'll fix it when C is in A and B. So I think when there was the previous stream, you guys talked about how important unit testing is, and I think this is the future because I'm not going to even. Okay, yeah, that looks good to me. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? Run it. Just buggers attached.
What about the negative? This could just always return true, and then your test is doing nothing. Oh, it also doesn't. It probably doesn't need a falsy test.
Like the first one isn't true, right? Because it's 2 and 4 and 6 and 8 wouldn't.
That's a really good point.
You put 2 and 6. Oh, there you go.
I could do like 1 and that. So when
also that one's wrong too, because 8 is not between 2 and 4.
Yeah. Then when C.
That's also a really strange range. It goes from a high number to a low number.
Yeah, not quite the range.
A shouldn't be bigger than B. Well, I don't think. I think this is if this is the future. PR. I would have a lot more to say on PR reviews.
Oh, when like, C.
Yeah,
that one's good, and then this one's good. Okay.
B is still not between C and D, AJ, in the second test.
Second test.
6 is larger than both 2 and 4.
Ooh. There we go.
5. Oh, I guess that works.
Okay. So now, if I go up here and run. Okay, now it's good. So now that GitHub Copilot has how it's supposed to work, let's do some. It should. Oh, there we go. Should not contain when A is not in C and D, and then let's go a little bit slower this time. So when A is not. Hey, that time it worked. So it's learning. Should not contain B.
Okay, that's good.
get some indenting. It should not contain when C is not within A and B. So C, yeah, C is out of the range. Looks like it's doing a good job. D.
C is in range. C is equal to. Oh no, wait. But it should still return true because you're not checking them independently. You're checking the combination of the two. So even if 1 isn't between 3 and 4, or 2 and 4, if 2 is, then
good catch.
Which is fair but you didn't. In GitHub's defense, you didn't tell it that. So how is it to know?
Yeah. Okay, so now we added 4 more tests for a total of 8. And 9 passed because true. Let's delete this one. We can leave that one out. So yeah. Oh yeah, good question from chat. What did I code? I coded the question. I did.
Oh, I thought that was a question for Dan. What does he code at FCC?
Oh.
It could be either.
Yeah, it could be. Well, so for GitHub Copilot, what I did is I provided it the condition up to around here. And then it just figured out like, oh, he's probably testing this. And then we had to go through and actually read it, like do some due diligence to check like, oh yeah, so like were the numbers correct? And then we did that for the first 4. And once we accomplished that, it was just the same total like autocomplete with Copilot for the last 4. But the condition, this one, I believe, when it was auto-completed, it would have still returned true because I think it was like this. I think it was 2 to 4. So like C isn't part of it, but just because the way the contains works is it's still checking that this one is over there. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. I'm just reading through chat. Yeah, underscore is still around. Wow, AJ. Yeah, you know what? I can't take credit for it. It is GitHub Copilot for the unit tests. That's how I like to unit test, is get that to spit it out, and then I have to read it. Like, which I feel that by given the context, it allowed me to not have to think of these numbers, and then I just have to go over it and make sense of the numbers in my head. But yeah, I mean that from the last stream I was on, we did 0 unit tests. We're now at 8. That is like a huge improvement. That's 8 more tests. How are you feeling about it now, Dan? That it's 100% code coverage?
It's pretty good. I think I'm gonna have to try it out a little more. The GitHub Copilot.
Yes. Not sponsored by GitHub Copilot or Quokka or Wallaby, which I'm pretty sure
is Copilot something you have to subscribe to and pay for?
Yeah, it is $100 a year or $10 a month.
What if you wrote code that was used to train it? I feel like they owe it to you then.
That
or at least a fraction of a cent discount. You're like 1/1,000,000th of the training data. I feel like you owe a little bit of that.
Yeah. I'd send an email to contact@microsoft.com.
I seriously doubt anything I wrote was used to train it. I hope not. I mean, I don't hope not. The stuff that I have on GitHub publicly isn't that impressive, honestly. So.
Yeah, it is super fun when you're solving advent of code from years gone by, because lots of people have their
advent of code 2022 day 4, enter.
Yeah.
Does that work?
I can try. How to solve advent of code day 4 part 1 2020. You know, there's wins and there's losses when it comes to AI. I think we're looking at a loss.
I don't know. That
Um,
question may have the answer, or that website may have the answer in it. Honestly,
yeah.
like, so you ask it questions. That's not how you tell it to generate code, though, right? I was saying, like, can you just have it generate the solution for you?
Yeah, I could, so that you can ask questions like,
But I assume that's what the queue is for, is that you asked it a
oh,
question. You didn't tell it to generate code, right?
oh, cool. Does the, so yeah, you can ask questions and it can be anything like, what's the capital of Ontario? Toronto.
Now,
What?
do you think that's sourcing the answer of this from GitHub, or is it just Googling?
I have no idea.
Because if it's sourcing, I can't imagine there's a GitHub that just has like somebody
Just,
committed. Here's answers to a lot of commonly asked geography questions.
mm, yeah, it's just using our code for this one.
Hey, that's a good. Looks like a good solution to me.
Oh.
Well, that's
Cool.
$100 well spent.
Oh, helps with testing. But you know, there's wins and losses. You, for any developers that are looking at GitHub Copilot, being like, "Oh, I'm worried about my future as a developer. Will AI take over?" I think you're safe. Uh, high degree of certainty on that. So yeah. Um, do you have anything you'd like to try while we got the solution open, the stream going down?
You know what? I've been watching in awe. I think you've been going really fast, and I've been trying to keep up with some of the things here and watching everything that's happening. So I can't think of anything that I'd like to try. I think one of the things I noticed is, well, the unit tests just seemed a little strange. The comments that it would put out, like it kind of made sense that A would be within C and D, but what it's shouldn't you say like A to B would be within C and D or something?
Hmm.
I don't know, but that I'm not blaming you for that one. That was just Copilot.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna shut off Copilot before I forget. Cool. Okay. Do you have anything else you'd want to try, Wade?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
So I'm just curious. So what are the like when we were talking about intersects before,
Yeah.
like so clearly we're just kind of doing some simple things like doing min max and like what are your thoughts about using something if intersect existed, which I'm not even sure if it does. Did someone say it was in Lodash? But would you use it, or do you
Mm,
prefer to be a little more bare metal?
If it was built into the language, I would definitely use it. Um,
yes.
but if it happens to be part of a library I'm using, I would also probably use it, as long as I might look at it, see how it's implemented.
Yeah.
Maybe not for something like this, because performance doesn't really matter that much. Um, but yeah, I think I probably would.
Yeah. I think there's a couple things. And it really boils down on a almost case by case basis. So like if you already have either it in the language or it's already included in the project, then yeah, 100% use it. Um, there's lots of pros where versus cons. When it's already there, you might as well make use of it. If it's not already there, if it's not in the language, and there is a library that does it, there's pros and cons. I think one of the things is you have to weigh the like right now we're just in TypeScript. If we're actually building a website out, chances are there's going to be a build process. Hopefully that build process has something like tree shaking. So if you're only using one method from Lodash, only one method goes. I think they have lots of imports that are now quite granular for that
Yeah.
to aid with that. And if you were to do it on your own, if you miss a condition, right? Like if there's something left out where that library has already thought of that, maybe that library is already fully unit tested, used by millions of people. Not that that means there won't be errors, but I'd put my trust, like if the three of us all wrote a contains method and then there's a Lodash contains or intersects method that has been around for the past 10 years, used by millions of people, I'm going to put my money on the Lodash solution. Um, and it makes me wonder, like, is TypeScript the right language for this? Looking at some of the other people solving advent of code. Here, let me go to, let's check out day 4. Not found. Code, day 4. Let's look at the leaderboards for the 4th day. Okay, I hate to break it to you guys, but we did not make it on the leaderboard. At least not in the top 36. I'm going to scroll
How
down.
long ago did you open the question?
We are at an hour and 11 minutes for us.
I'm just trying. Yeah. So.
But the leaderboard uses absolute time from when the question was released.
Oh, doesn't matter how long you sit on the page.
Right. Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Cool.
So, one of the things I'm interested in, I love looking at other people's repo for this. So Brian Chen, he's solving it. We can check out his solution. He is using the Newlith programming language.
What now?
The Newlith. you
Was there an old list?
That is a great question for
Juggling? I can't even. I don't even know, how do you spell that?
Here, I'll put it in the chat. I think I can link in the chat. Here. So yeah,
Interesting.
A programming language he contributed to. It's written in Rust.
Oh, I thought this. Okay, I thought it was a solution for.
Looks. Is this then? Oh yeah, you guys can't see my screen, can you?
Could you make it a little?
Yeah, just yeah.
Ah, that's fair. Some of the high scores could have been solved. Nefarious means.
Yeah. We are. I mean, yeah.
I wonder what kind of a comparison OS means. Oh, it says or. I couldn't see because your cursor was over it. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Our heads are also covering a large portion of the.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah. So that.
Oh wow, this is reading from a text file too. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, I wonder what the text file looks like. Is it just the straight Advent? Oh, and there's Advent Prelude. Interesting. Oh, and yeah, it's just the raw. Oh man, there's a lot
Let's
to
see what's
unpack
happening here. So somehow I guess they're just pulling the numbers. Maybe NN ints takes everything that's not a number and strips it out, and then somehow that's actually interesting. That would be useful for like a useful utility to have for parsing text input.
Yeah.
And then it's just a direct comparison. So it's just saying it's A less than or equal to C, which is less than or equal to D, which is less than or equal to B, or C less than or equal to A, less than or equal to B, less than or equal to B. That's another way to do, I guess, chain your comparisons. You can't do that in JavaScript, though, can you?
No.
You have to and them all.
I think. I'm gonna try it. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, that's kind of clever. They just checked not B less than C and not. I guess that's like the simplified version of the logic you did for the second part. Like I can't remember what you call that. It's been a long time since I did logic, but like
Yeah.
the and, like the inverse is the not something and not something.
Yeah. I think that was in the chat. One of the things Wagafa
Oh yeah,
was talking about that. This is
it's definitely more succinct.
yeah. So one of the things I always like, and I've been burned by it, is sometimes that succinctness just it helps you a ton when you get to that problem two or a problem later on in Advent of Code. Um, Other times it totally burns you because they'll change the problem. So like say day 20 comes out, they'll be like, hey, remember on day 4 how you did it this way? Well,
We go back
here's
and
the
have it work for both. Yeah,
yeah,
I can see how that would be helpful.
and sometimes having it more verbose helps. Other times it's the total opposite. Having it more verbose, just that you're like, oh my goodness, and having it more succinct helps. And it's the same with like the part two. Um, I remember the year Advent of Code was building an int computer was pretty neat. Um, so yeah, um, yeah, should be interesting. Yeah, this is one of the guys I've been following on Advent of Code, Brian Chen. I think if I
Nice,
go,
Bracer. He wrote the language.
yeah, he wrote the
Wow, solving
language,
it in your own language, the language you wrote yourself. That's kind
and
of cool.
yeah, so he wrote the book, Crafting Interpreters,
Hmm.
I believe. So yeah, pretty cool. Um, I don't think I'm ever going to hit a point where I'm solving Advent of Code in a programming language I wrote. I just 1 year I hope to make it to day 25 that year. It doesn't even have to be on Christmas, but it would be cool. This year I'm just going for double digits. If I make it to the double digits with the help of such wonderful people as Dan, that will make for an awesome holiday time. So I think we're good. If there's any questions left on the stream, I'll give you some time to ask. Do you guys have any thoughts, concerns, questions? No? Cool. Awesome. Well, Dan, let me be the first to thank you for coming on Advent of Code with us. It is greatly appreciated. Um, Stay tuned. We'll be back on Tuesday. We'll be
Indeed.
back on Thursday with more guests to appear. So, with that, have an awesome day, and I'll see you guys later.